Okay, folks, we are now live. If I could have everyone's attention, please. We need more volume. They're saying I don't do that, so I can hear. It sounds very normal to me. Are you guys not able to hear me? Can you hear me now? I think there was a lot of din in the room, and that may have been contributing to it. But I will make sure everybody uses the microphone very closely right now to make sure everybody can hear. If I could just have everyone's attention and hold the side conversations to outside the room, that would really help, folks. Okay, so we are here. Thank you all. This is again Friday, the 12th of May, and this is our Democratic Caucus. And I've asked you to reconvene today so that we could hear from our chair of Human Services had to be in her committee this morning hearing amendments and could not join us this morning, which was not her fault. But we've asked her to come along with the rest of the budget conferees and our chair of Ways and Means, who are going to talk to you first about childcare. So I'm going to turn it over.
Thank you, Emily. It's dark in here. In true form today, I forgot my childcare notes at home. Not home, but state house home. So I guess I don't need these because I'm not reading anything. H217 is going to be the childcare venue that we will be voting on this afternoon, not S56. H217 has come over from the Senate. On the policy side of things, it is much as you would expect that we have talked about previously. There have been some changes. It's not exactly what Senator Lyons and I agreed to, but there are some changes that our committee has determined that we can live with. And we will be taking up another amendment at 1 o'clock. So, and my committee doesn't know exactly what that is yet. So just watch for that and to know that it doesn't substantially change the policy in the committee. I mean, in the bill at all. We are looking for the same kinds of things in the bill that you have expected. There'll be a 35%. All right, somebody is leaning on the lights over there. All right, Representative Arison, you turned the lights out on us. It's all good. I hope that's not an omen for this afternoon's action. All right, lights out. I hope not. Okay, so what you will see in this bill are the things that we have been talking about right along. You're going to see a 35% bump in the payments to childcare providers. That will happen January 1. On July 1, you will see in this bill a bump to decouple the STARS program from the reimbursement rates. So that's around between 4.5 and $5 million. That will happen right on for services effective July 1. So here's sort of the order of events. July 1, providers, from the provider perspective, July 1, providers will get a bump up in rates. They'll get another bump up in rates effective January 1. And then for home care providers, family home care providers, they will get another bump up in rates to reduce the differential between the centers and the family home care providers. This impacts a lot of people, a lot of providers. That bump, that second bump for them, well, third actually, will happen next July 1st. So that's the same policy that we have been talking about. That is still in the bill. The expansion of the eligibility for financial assistance is happening as well. That will be happening up to 575%. It does happen in stages in this bill. But the end result will be 575% of FPL. In terms of family copay, the Senate sent it over. We have talked back and forth. Our pre-conference conference landed on $26 weekly copay. The version that came over from the Senate is based on 25. You'll see it appear as 50 because we have bumped up the FPL eligibility from 150 to 175. So that sort of whole first category that was at $25 a week is now zero. They're gonna pay zero as a result of this. So so the Senate sent it over with 50. It's not what Senator Lyons and I had agreed to, but ultimately is probably what we will agree to. So you'll see that evolving today on the floor. In terms of after school and summer programs, those are all, as we had discussed previously, they will be getting all the same rate increases that will be happening for the 0 to 4 group. And the pre-K stuff is all still in there. You're going to see a slight modification to that. They modified it. We're going to be putting it back to what the House version said. So you'll see that this afternoon as well. But I think that's the overall summary, and the real big pieces that changed were on the financing side. So I'll turn it over to Representative Kornheiser now.
Hi, Representative Emily Kornheiser from Brattleboro, Chair of Ways and Means. I think we all know the very good reason that we're raising revenue for this bill. It's a huge public good. We have folks who are going to be impacted very directly within the next few months. And we have whole communities that are going to feel the effects of this work for generations to come. And I'm really proud of what we're doing here. The financing mechanism in the bill, sorry, I brought my notes, but now I can't find where I am in my notes. So the programs, once we do this expansion, is going to cost approximately $124 million. And so we can meet the needs of this huge expansion. We are going to raise new revenue of about $82 million a year to cover those costs in fiscal year 25 and into the future. We've received, and I've shared with you before, all of the testimony received from businesses about how important this is to them and to their stake in the state of Vermont. And so we are raising this revenue with a payroll tax. In the bill, it is termed a child care contribution, which is charming, but I just want to be, honest with everyone while we're here. It is a payroll tax. And the way the payroll tax is going to work is it's 0.44%. So that's not 44%, it's not 0.44, it's 0.44%. And the way that's divided is the majority of it is paid by employers. So employers will pay 75% of that 0.44%. In a brilliant mathematical piece of magic, 0.44% is really easy to divide into quarters. So employers will pay 0.33% and employees will pay 0.11%. And it's like lovely little memorable numbers for you all. And self-employed people are going to be paying in, but at the 0.11 rate, as if they were wage and hour employees or other W-2 employees. The Department of Taxes is going to take about a year to set up this payroll tax system. And so the revenue will begin to be collected in July of next year, which is the beginning of fiscal year 25. It's a stable long-term funding source. It's going into a special fund that will sit within the general fund, and childcare will be paid out. The childcare financial assistance will be paid out of that. Has a base of 435,000 individuals, and that is approximately $19.6 billion in wages and self-employment income that we will be sort of taxing across the whole. And that that's the revenue piece of the bill. It's fairly straightforward and tidy, especially with those nice, easy to add up numbers. Little bit of the sort of elephant in the room is that this is all happening in a bill that the Commerce Committee did some really good work on. Thank you, Commerce Committee. Thank you for your workers' comp bill. And the workers' compensation language and the work that the Senate did with that is still in this bill. And so I'm going to give them a second if they want to just tell us about the stuff, the rest of the stuff in the bill. So you're not like, oh my God, what's going on here?
Hi, everyone. So H217 was originally a workers' compensation bill, which is typically, it sets an annual rate for the Department of Labor's workers' compensation program, funding their administration fund. And so now it includes the child care elements that were just discussed. And it also includes H55, which was a bill that we passed also from out of House Commerce that deals with unemployment insurance. So we have childcare, unemployment insurance, and workers' comp all in the same bill. I'm just going to talk briefly about the new elements of workers' comp that are featured in this bill, which actually come from yet another bill that is on House Commerce's wall, H286, that the Senate put in. So there is language adding detailing work search requirements for persons who are receiving temporary disability benefits to engage in a good faith search for suitable work if the injured employee is medically released to return to work. There are also sections dealing with increases to temporary, partial, and temporary total disability benefits, bumping that up from $10 to $20. There is a sunset baked in there. Logan, am I saying that? Thank you. So yes, it would return from $20 to $10 in 2028. The benefit was originally added in 1981. If you adjust for inflation to now, you get $20. There was a report generated by the Commissioner of the Department of Labor in consultation with the Commissioner of the Department of Financial Regulation regarding the impact of the increase in the dependent benefits enacted. There's right-sized cost of living adjustments for persons who are transitioning from temporary to permanent disability status. And there's some stuff about enshrining common practice attorneys' fees in there, rulemaking, and then H55, which I'm not going to repeat up here because we were limited on time. And then an incredibly complicated effective date section. Thank you.
And so because this is a bill on the calendar that combines bills from a number of different committees, the way the floor report is going to look is actually a lot like a floor report from, say, the Transportation Committee, where they all take turns and spend a lot of time yielding to each other. And so that's what we're going to do for this floor report. Any questions about the bill? Okay, thank you all, and thank you for your vote today.
So like always, if anybody has questions, please make sure that you find a member of leadership or a member of one of these many committees who are dedicating their time and effort into this bill. So next up, I'm going to call up the Budget Conference Committee. They're going to talk about GA housing.
I just wanted to add one more thing to the discussion we were just having about H217. We were hoping, as was Commerce, that we were going to be able to divide the bill so that people could have a vote on the Commerce sections and to vote on the child care section so that both votes could be recorded. Unfortunately, because it's a proposal of amendment, we cannot do that. So we have checked with the clerk's office. So the whole thing's going to have to be voted as a package. Just wanted to let you know that. So we're back here on general assistance and housing for individuals who are currently living in the hotels and motels around the state. And I guess the first thing I want to say to you is that this is I'm just checking my text right now because I just got another text about this topic. This is a continually evolving topic. It's a topic that affects people's lives. It's a topic that this conference committee did not take lightly in our discussions and our advocacy for these individuals within our conference committee. And it is something that we feel very strongly about in terms of our support for people who are in this situation and the help that we are trying to get for them. I have been and continue to be in pretty much constant contact with the agency and the governor's office around this. And I know that one of the things that people have been wondering about is, how do we hold the administration accountable for what's happened, what's about to happen, and frankly, what hasn't happened. And, I've been assured that there is right now an all hands on deck approach to this all the way up the agency and across agencies, the Agency of Commerce and Community Development, the Agency of Human Services. I'm missing one more. What's the other agency? Development, Human Services, and Administration. Yeah, the governor's office. Sorry. minor omission, sorry. And that I'm just going to say this bluntly, because I think many of the people in the room at least know that I try not to mince words when there are things that just need to be said. And part of that is that what's happening right now, the kind of effort that I'm seeing being put in right now, should have been put in last year. And we continually ask the administration for the kind of planning that they're doing right now. And we would not be in this situation right now. We still would have people who are homeless. I mean, I think that we all understand that all of us in this room, are trying to do what's best for people who who are less fortunate than we are to have a roof over our heads and food in our stomachs. And I want to say that I am going to hold the administration accountable for their actions on this. And my committee is going to do the same. And we will, when we adjourn today, I hope, when we adjourn today, that's not going to be the end of our actions on this. I just want you to know that. We are going to be in constant communication. We are going to be getting updates on things as they progress. And I've mentioned previously that there are plans underway right now, and discussions have begun. Excuse me. Begun with municipalities at this point in time. Those discussions have started to happen. The field service directors will be leading this at the local level, and there are plans for temporary shelters. Excuse me. I'm trying to get over a cold. Sorry. No. There are plans right now being formulated for temporary shelters for those folks who truly do not have another place to go. So we do have copies of the handout that is on the Committee of Conference webpage that lays out all of the resources that are included in this budget. As I forgive me, but I've talked about this topic a lot over the last week, and we have over $220 million being vested in this budget. And I just do have to say it that if we continued the hotel motel program, if you want to call it a program, it hasn't really been a program, but we continue that reduces the resources that we have to put into the investments that we need for ongoing support and permanent solutions to these situations and these people's lives, to help them. And I can't say that emphatically enough. I want to read to you a portion of a message that I received from let's just say a person high up in state government. So we have a great team working on this, which I don't disagree. They do. There are some excellent people working on this across agencies, and I'm confident we will be able to offer some short and long-term solutions to keep people safe. And I know that that's what is most important to people here. And I want you to know that you have my commitment that I am going to be personally on top of this with the Agency of Human Services and the governor's office. Uh, I can't, provide a home for every single person who is homeless, but I just want you to know that you have my commitment to continue to follow this as the legislature adjourns today. Um, and Robin just whispered in my ear, and I'm not even sure if I heard it right, but the holding the administration accountable is all of our jobs. Okay, so be in contact with your local field service directors. Ask them what they're doing to help the local people. Be in contact with the folks that you know within the administration. You all know people. I know you do, because as politicians, you're connected. I know you're connected. So be in contact with, as I said, the local field service directors are going to be the point people on this at the local level, and it's critically important that they know that we're watching. And it'd be great if I could, spread that around to some of you out there as well. So, yes.
So, yeah, this is all of our jobs. It's not just Teresa's. If we're committed to this, then we need to be committing to this for the long run. So, what she said, what can you commit to in your community to help us out?
Just add that when you see the language, because we've been shopping, it, and some people may be seeing it maybe for the first time yesterday or today, but earlier today we spoke to the fact of that in the budget, it's within the budget is the language that we brought forward to the committee of conference, and that is they're a part of it because of the hard work of many of the people in this room to make sure that this happens, is to make sure that I also don't want to have all of this burden just pointed to one agency. It's not fair. This is why you see that it's all in, all hands on deck. It has to be not just DCF, it's AHS, it's community development, it's all of our jobs. And earlier today, I spoke to the fact that I've witnessed what happens in Vermont when Vermonters respond to a crisis. Irene, pandemic, we can do this. We're going to try very hard. Are we going to get it perfect? No. But we'll work with our partners and within our communities and with our community partners and making sure that none of us can just sit on the sidelines and point accountability that it's someone else's job. It's all of our jobs to respond to this situation. Thanks.
We're available for questions now if you'd like to ask questions. Yes, go ahead, Representative Rachelson. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Wait, I'm not supposed to call on people. I just realized.
I am more than happy for her to call on people, but I just want to remind everyone that we are live streaming this, so no one can hear it if you don't have a microphone in your hand to ask the question. So please introduce yourself when you get the microphone, and then we will answer things.
Thank you. And thank you very much for your dedication to this issue. It's near and dear to a lot of us. And you're right, it is all of our responsibility. Representative Lampier, when you mentioned Irene, it got me thinking that wouldn't it be awesome if we had a transition czar in place, just like we did during Irene, who could help whip all the departments together. And I'm wondering if that's something we can consider.
So right here, we have the Secretary of Administration. Come on up. We've got them all.
I was just gonna say, in the language, it refers to the three secretaries, but there is a point person within the governor's office who is the point person. So, right, right now, that's the Chief Prevention Officer, Monica Hutt.
Awesome.
Her name is Monica Hutt.
So can I ask a second? So in talking to some of the folks in Burlington who work with the homeless, including COTS, one thing that I know would be super helpful is fanning it out a little more, and just wondering what the possibility is of fanning out the exits from motels, because everyone recognizes we are paying crazy amounts for them, and it's not a program, but not having that many people hit the streets, because it will overwhelm Vermont-sized systems. It's like, given we can control the weather a little better in this storm, could it fan out over 4 months rather than 2?
No, at this point in time, the decision has been made. People, it will be in 2 stages at the end of May and at the end of June. And if you would like to know how many people in your counties are in, as of last week, I guess it was, when it was presented in Representative Stevens' committee, maybe we can ask him to pull that up and share that around, so you have an idea about the number in each county. It is spread out all over Vermont. Yes. I think I saw Representative Houghton. Yeah. No. It doesn't. Yeah, you can come up and ask. Yeah.
Thank you, Representative Houghton from City of Essex Junction. I just wanted to say thank you and also remind the body that the homeless situation is not just a homeless situation. It is a mental health system of care situation and a substance use disorder situation and so many other situations. And in our budget, we have put forth a lot of money to help both of those systems of care. I'll just speak to the mental health system since that's my committee. We put funding in for a mobile crisis response unit statewide. We put money in for DAs and SSAs to be able to have a workforce to respond to a crisis. We put money in for EMS so that they can also respond to crisis. So this is not a one silo thing. It is all over, and all of our committees have done incredible work to make sure that we're responding and lifting up all systems of care. So I just want to say thank you for accepting all of our committees' works. And I think it's a great budget and a great way that we're moving forward.
Thank you, Representative. Don't be nice to me, I'll cry.
Just to add to what Representative Houghton just said, to highlight the additional stuff in this budget with regard to older Vermonters and people with disabilities, and also assisting folks with mental health challenges. There is over, let me see, how do I, doing math in public is never a good idea, but about $30 million being invested in opening up more capacity in our nursing homes, in our residential care homes, in our assistive community care services. Those are things that state government has for a long period of time, frankly, starved in terms of any kind of ongoing rate increase. And as you will see, what the House's position was maintained, and the assistive community care services, which impacts the most number of residential facilities, is that rate for Medicaid beneficiaries is going to be bumped by 79%. And I've never seen, I have never seen a budget that had a 79% rate increase in 1 year for anything. And I, have to give kudos to our appropriations committee for accepting the human services recommendation on that. And again, those are things that are going to help low income Vermonters who are homeless because they have had to limit the number of people on Medicaid that they take because it has been unsustainable in their businesses. And so this is going to make a big difference. We also added to the budget services and support for residential recovery housing in this budget, not only in one time, which it's been on an ongoing basis, one time. And like, I'm tired of one time. And so we have money moving into the base now for those services, as well as additional one-time money. And that is not something that has been represented in the governor's budget. You might know a little bit about home share. We have home share. We didn't even get SASH on this. We did SASH. SASH is, I mean, this is one of the reasons we put this list together. And I'm just realizing when I said home share, SASH isn't on the list, and it should be. And we have a significant increase in the base funding for general assistance. We recognize that general assistance is not the program after the COVID pandemic that it was prior to. So we have made, in the House version of the budget that was accepted in conference, significant increases in the base budget for general assistance. When things don't work out right, we've also made significant improvements in the increases to the budget for legal aid, Vermont legal aid, to help people work through those issues that they have. If they need to file an appeal, if they need to deal with an eviction, if they're dealing with that kind of situation. So there have been I can't really remember the last time that we increased legal aid to the extent that we are increasing legal aid here to provide that kind of assistance. So as I've said before, this is, and as people have talked about here today, it's a very diverse issue, and the approaches that we need to take need to be multifaceted, and that is what this budget does. So Representative, yeah, okay, Chestnut Tangerman, I wasn't sure. Yeah. I think it is working. I hear some sort of background happening.
Yeah, Representative Robin Chestnut Tangerman hiding in the corner to try to kill the feedback on the mic. This is more of an implementation question than a budget question. I'm not sure if you'll have an answer, but I think it's an important perspective. The figures that were provided to our committee by the Department of Housing and Community Development for county by county counts indicated Rutland County having the highest count in the state, more than 25% more than Chittenden County. And I'm just wondering, as we wind down the hotel program, my understanding is that many of the people housed in Rutland were moved there because that's where hotels were available, but their home area is not Rutland. And I'm wondering if these families will it fall on Rutland to resettle them, or will they be, is there a process to return them to their original
Their
homes?
home
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
That certainly one of the things that we know about this process is that not only do we need to sort of have group solutions, we need to have individual solutions, and certainly on an individual case by case basis, people want to return. If they were from Winooski and they want to return to Winooski, then that's where the planning needs to take place in order to get them there. When the Agency of Human Services is talking about standing up emergency shelter type situations, I'm sure that they are considering where the most number of people are currently located. And in that planning process, people's desires about where they want to live, and where we have available resources. So I think that, all of those things are going to be part of the puzzle that gets put together for, with people. Representative Troiano, I guess, is first, I guess.
Representative Troiano from Standard. So I'm a little confused. I'd like to, being on the board of Lamoille County Mental Health and Craftsbury Care Center, what I'm confused as to where the increases to these agencies might come from. Are these continuous general fund appropriations, or are these increases in Medicaid reimbursement? I'm a little confused at that. And how much money do we expect them to get?
Well, it's going to depend for each. First off, let me answer the first question.
Okay.
The first question is for the services that I spoke of, those are all matchable with global commitment dollars. So
Okay.
those will be Medicaid dollars.
Yep.
How much they will get will depend upon how many people that they have and or accept into their
Okay.
home who have Medicaid. So there
Okay.
are some programs, some homes that have a higher percentage of Medicaid. They're obviously going to see a bigger bump because
Okay.
they have a higher percentage of people who are on Medicaid
And a higher need.
and a higher need.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. But the increase comes in rates. So,
Okay.
you know, I'm just going to use round numbers. So if the rate is $50 a day and it's moving to $75 a
Yep.
day, you have to, that rate is associated with, you know, an individual.
Right.
So they don't receive you know, a lump sum payment. It's all based upon the services that you provide. So if you're
Understood.
providing services to Medicaid recipients, you're going to see a significant bump. If you provide to more Medicaid recipients, that will be new money coming into you.
Great. Closer to what it actually costs. to keep-
This was based, we didn't just kind of like dig up 79%
Yeah, I
and say,
understand.
what
Yeah.
should it be?
I got it.
We commissioned last year in the budget, we commissioned a rate study to understand, because we knew that this was a significant issue. And so we commissioned a rate study to look at what the actual costs were. And so the Agency of Human Services, along with the provider groups that I'm talking about, they were represented in that. They all submitted a ton of information to the contractor that was working with AHS, and the groups that are representing the providers here, they are absolutely delighted with what is in this budget. They said it's going to make a significant difference and prevent closures.
Before you speak, Angela, I just want to quick say, I think you have to get ready. Well, it's 1 o'clock. So she does have to get committee at 1. So this is going to have to be the last question, but I'm sorry for interrupting you, Representative Arsenault, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that.
Thank you.
Thanks. I will try to make it quick, although I do have 2 questions, but they're quick. So I understand there was some, sorry, Representative Angela Arsenault from Williston. There was some confusion about mixed messages, perhaps from the governor's office and I think it was AHS, about whether or not the clock may not start on some folks until July 1st. Was that issue cleared up?
That issue is still being discussed. I am obviously, oh, sorry. I'm obviously that's something I'm being watching very closely. We agree with the governor's office, and I think that I just thought occurred to me we should put that in writing to the governor's office and the agency. That it makes no sense that people should be essentially penalized for a program that was set up during the pandemic, and so the clock should begin again. Is our position on that.
And that actually is a good segue to my next question, which goes back to what you were saying about accountability, and that it is our shared responsibility. And you mentioned, like, we all know people in state government, and perhaps it's because I'm a first-year legislator, but I know there are a lot of first-year legislators who have a lot of passion around this issue and may not know where to direct that energy. So I'm just not asking for it now necessarily, not today, not tomorrow, but sometime soon. And I don't even know from whom that information should come, but some guidance about how to apply energy
Yeah.
in that direction.
This exists on the website, but I certainly am willing, I'll write this down, to put together the contact information for the field service directors for everyone, so that you can have their contact information and you can be in direct contact with them. Okay, thank you, everybody. Appreciate your attention. And we would appreciate your vote on the budget. Thank you. And childcare. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I just want to say a huge thank you to not just these budget conferees, but their committees as well. They have really worked very hard and they have been listening to you. I really did. I'm sorry if I cut it off too quickly, but I need to let Representative Wood get to committee to hear amendments. And I didn't even think she knew what time it was already because she was so busy here. So thank you all. We're back on the floor at 1:30.